So good afternoon, March the 4th, 2014. This is CISG, Section 113, Section 1, Information Security and Privacy. This is day number 6 in week number 3. So let's get started. Welcome back to this class. We have to wait for a few more students, but we need to get started. Okay, welcome back. So this is day number 6, okay? We're to look at the white screen, that is our website, so it's week number 4. So we've gone through the first 3 weeks, and this is the last week with learning contract number 1. So if we look at this week's theme that I have introduced to you last week, okay? So if we look at that, it's information literacy and competency. So it's a very important theme, and it's also the last common module in the group of 4 courses for these particular GE category. So information literacy is a very important skill that we expect each one of us, not just for students, it's going to be equipped in this age of the internet era. So what is meant by information literacy? If we look at the video suggestion for today, we have discovered information literacy, and then part 1 and part 2, what is information literacy, and then lesson 1, lesson 2. These are minutes video. It just takes you fewer than 5 minutes for each video. And then there is something very interesting. If you look down the list, information literacy, self-directed learning. Okay, self-directed learning, it's the recognized ability to learn in the field of work. So each one of us needs to learn on ourselves when we identify there is a need for us to learn something in the job, or be it as a student in the homework. And then we also have a very simple idea on teaching information literacy. Okay? So teaching information literacy, and then at the very last, information literacy in a nutshell. So what is information literacy? I promise I'm going to best use my time, only 30 minutes. So let's get started with something very simple. All right, start from the end.
Most people hear the phrase information literacy. They focus on the word literacy and assume that it has to do with being able to read and write. In actuality, information literacy, sometimes called information fluency, focuses on an individual's relationship with the information available to them in their daily life. Information is abundant and in more format than most people can utilize, and at some point we all suffer from information overload. Information literacy is critical in allowing individuals to skillfully and knowledgeably take advantage of this new environment in their personal, academic, and professional lives. In this tutorial, the basic concepts of information literacy will be explored, especially as they pertain to students in higher education. The term information literacy was coined in 1974 by Paul Zurkowski, who noted that those who were information literate were able to mold information sources in order to find the solutions to problems. 15 years later, a definition was created that is still in use by many educators and academic organizations today. The ALA's Presidential Committee on Information Literacy distinguished those qualities that make one information literate, stating that a person must be able to recognize when information is needed and have the ability to locate, evaluate, and use effectively the needed information. Information literacy applies to everyone, both inside and outside academia. It's about learning the skills to understand and navigate this new information world encountered on a daily basis. If one can utilize these skills and effectively use information, they have fulfilled the primary goal of becoming lifelong learners. Those who have learned how to learn, who can always find the information needed for any task or decision at hand. Although it applies to everyone, information literacy will vary according to the individual. An undergrad will use very different skills from someone already in a career, or those skills used in one's personal life. We will look briefly at information literacy as it pertains to higher education. In 2000, the Association of College and Research Libraries developed a set of 5 standards, performance indicators, and outcomes to define the information literate student. These standards touch upon 5 major components of information literacy: need, access, evaluation, use, and ethics. The first standard focuses on determining the need for information and recognizing what types and how much information are required. This includes being able to define the need, such as in a thesis statement. It's knowing what resources are available for the particular subject and choosing those that will be the most effective. This standard discusses recognizing the feasibility of conducting certain research while also coordinating a realistic timeline. The student should be willing to reevaluate and clarify their information needs throughout this process. The second standard focuses on accessing information. It may seem that students would be adept at this because of the abundance of information and easy-to-use search tools. However, this standard is really about getting the best information and not necessarily the most or fastest. Students must be aware of the research methods used in the particular subject field. They need to apply effective search strategies within appropriate tools to then access this information. Although there are always exceptions, it is important for them to try to use a variety of methods and systems instead of relying on a single research tool like Google, and they must be willing to refine their search strategies as needed. Finally, it is crucial that once found, students can manage these resources, being able to extract and organize the pertinent material so that it can be easily accessed while working on their final product. The third standard focuses on two types of evaluation. First, students need to evaluate sources to make sure they are legitimate and authoritative, especially in an environment where creating and distributing information can be done by practically anyone. It's also critical that students recognize bias, prejudice, deception, and manipulation within sources. Second, students need to evaluate the information within their source. This requires them to be able to understand the material, extract the main ideas, and know what parts would be best utilized in the final product. They should be able to take this information and synthesize it into their new ideas and concepts that can then be compared to prior knowledge, allowing them to test their ideas and theories. It is also important for students to investigate different viewpoints. They need to be willing to discuss their findings and research with other individuals and practitioners. Finally, based on the information gathered, students need to evaluate their strategies to determine if modifications will be required to get better or more applicable resources. Standard 4 is about using this newly evaluated information to create a product such as a research paper. In general, this standard focuses on being able to cohesively and adeptly incorporate and utilize the new and prior information and effectively present it in a way that is understandable and clearly supports the main thesis. Finally, according to Standard 5, students need to be aware of the ethics of information. This does not mean students simply need to cite their sources to avoid plagiarism, although this is an important point. Students need to be aware of topics that can affect their research in daily life, such as privacy and security, copyright, intellectual freedom, fair use, censorship, and the freedom of speech. They must understand and follow the laws and regulations surrounding information. They then need to acknowledge information sources using appropriate documentation style and cite accurately and as needed. These standards may seem overwhelming to incorporate into a single course. However, the development of an information literacy student takes place over their entire academic career and will continue long after. It's up to the instructor to decide what standards apply and should be taught within their course. Eventually, all the standards will come together. The information literacy student is not the creation of any single individual. He or she has been molded by a wide variety of people, including professors and librarians. Please consult the Rice Library Information Literacy LibGuide. This guide will provide you with a full list of ACRL standards, performance indicators, and outcomes with corresponding sample activities. It also provides additional links and resources to make understanding and incorporating IELTS skills easier. Please ask the reference librarians at Rice Library about what you can do to make information literacy a more prevalent part of your classes.
So here we go. It's just about 4 minutes, right? Actually 4 minutes and 50 seconds something. It's the basic introductions of information literacy. So in a minute, before I finish giving you the briefing, I'll give you 5 minutes time to talk about your numbers in your table. First, what is information literacy based on your perceptions? Okay, after watching this video, what is information literacy based on your perception? After watching this video, this is question 1. Why is information literacy important in our life? Why is information literacy important in our life? Third, when we practice information literacy, okay, what are we actually doing? Well, if you remember, over there they give you 5 different stages, right? you identify the need, you look up the information that is called the access. And then you look at a lot of informations, you do evaluations. At the end of the evaluation, you discover, oh, this is useful. I'm going to use it. So when you use it, you also credit the source of the information that is an ethical practice. So, need, access, evaluate, use, and ethics. Okay? So you heard about this as a practice of information literacy. But towards the end, what is it? Why do you need information literacy? We discussed about the implications of what is meant by an information age last week. And then we asked you also this question: what can we do as an individual to close the digital divide gap? Remember? And we also learned something about ethics, which is also connected with corporate social responsibility. And today, we come to the module called information literacy. Now, based on my suggestion just now, engage yourself in 5 minutes, not more than it, okay, discussions among yourself, and try to come up with something you can put together as your story to tell for information literacy. Okay, you have 5 minutes time to process it. Okay, go ahead. With your efforts, mostly we have 3 persons per table, except one which has 2. It's very good indeed. Today, we have 2 students who are willing to share. Definitely, I'll give you time to share after the first round of our discussion. Go ahead, okay? I'm going to take attendance also during this time. So, Christy, not here today. Oh, Christy is here. Thank you very much. Shannon, thank you. Amelia, thank you. Michael, thank you. Jacqueline, thank you. Antonio, thank you. And then Stossy, thank you. Ivy, thank you. Maggie, thank you. Thomas, thank you. Angie is not here. Oh. Lampard is not here. Lampard, are you here? Thank you very much. And then Nan, thank you. Julia, thank you. Norman is not here today. Okay, Peter is here. Okay. Also, since Angie is not here, so Lampard, are you the person who is not here yet? Okay. So you may discover which pair is willing to accept you. Okay? So you can tell. I'm talking to them. You can go ahead. Alright? Which pair is going to accept you as a member? Okay? You find one pair. Okay? You talk to your members and I'll tell you first. Okay? Are you willing to accept him as an extra member in your pair? Because he's not paired yet. Is it okay? That means in your pair you have to expect 2 free persons. Okay? Is it okay? Is it okay? Alright. Yes, help yourself discuss among yourself what is meant by information literacy based on your perception. Why is information literacy important? And then, when you practice information literacy, what do you do? All right? want to try to share? You want to do the Chinese? What the Chinese? Oh, well, basically it's called 基神素养. Right. But it's not the best name, literacy. Okay, the state of being literate in information. Okay, so when you say the reading literacy, the state of being literate in doing reading. Writing literacy, the state of being literate in doing writing. Okay, information literacy is the state of being literate in doing with information. Yeah. Thank you very much for your engaged discussions. It's very important that you try to put things into your personal perspective. So time is almost up for the 5 minutes. Let me put the microphone to this table. You can share whatever you have. Remember, it's a very good advantage to you and a good chance for you to participate in class and earn some points. So let's get started. Oh, I forgot to give you something to eat. That's the reason why I'm so slow. Let me see if I got something for you. Let me get you some energy. Here you go, get some cheese crackers. You ready? Okay. So, which table is willing to start up the sharing process? Okay, I see the boys' table and put the microphone there. Okay, could you pass the microphone to this table? Yes, thank you. Hello?
First of all, I think that video information
Literacy.
literacy
Yes.
is like a Superman.
Superman.
Yeah, I maneuver as a Superman because it seems to like a powerful
Okay.
and be needed.
All right.
Also, I have more powerful things to control themselves.
Okay. Yes.
Yeah, it's the much thing I can imagine in that
Okay.
information literacy.
Right. I remember just now the other table asked me the Chinese name for information literacy. Now, just telling the Chinese name does not seem enough, but if you use the metaphor of Superman to characterize the video, it's a very interesting term because information literacy is our powerful tool to overcome today's information overload. Okay? because we're living in an information age. We are inundated every day. We're facing a lot of information to deal with, and we need some means to sort them out. And information literacy represents the ability of an individual who is able to deal with a large amount of information and still be able to get the best out of it, okay, without being inundated with unnecessary details. So, I think you have anything to add? Thank you very much. Don't you want to say something? Okay.
And we think Superman he needs his kind people and he like to help another people. So the internet
Information
information
literacy.
literacy is to help another people know some information. So we need to write the truth in the internet.
Okay. So, what about Julia? You want to say something?
Information literacy is like Superman because Superman needs very much energy and we need a lot of information and access. We are Superman or Superwoman, so we should be really ethical when we have the access of information, and we should evaluate the information. Don't hack other people and make good use of the information, make it more effective.
Okay. So, and we thank you very much for your comments. Could you pass the microphone to one table of your choice? Here we go. Antonio, do you have anything to say? Well, I can tell you how you can try to answer this question or share something. Because my kid used to ask me these questions. What TV program do you recommend us to watch? I said, good kid. Beside baby TV, beside Cartoon Network, my kid would say, Dad, what kind of program do you want me to watch? And I say, well, you try it on yourself first. I give him the control of the remote. We use cable TV at home. And then to flip over the about 20 to 30 channels. And then at the end of the process, so we come back to Cartoon Network. I like this, but the other may not be appropriate for me. And I say, what about this? Well, I still do not understand what they say, a lot of information. But Cartoon Network is simple. I could read the story by looking at the animations. Okay, so the kids have one way to pick informations on their own. Now ask yourself, how do you pick informations on your own? Do you read newspaper? If you read newspaper, which page do you read first? Okay, right? Do you read Yulapan? Or do you read the headline news? Okay, so the way each one of us have a tendency to pick information first. But we're talking about information literacy. So there got to be some other implications on your side. What do you think? Okay, what do you think, Stuffsy?
To my perspective, I think information literacy is the process of searching information in a correct way. For example, we have to confirm what information we will search or the method of the searching process.
Okay.
Such as we may search the information in different websites. We could choose maybe Yahoo or Google. So we should choose the right way or the most convenient way to search the information.
Okay.
That's my perspective.
Okay. Do we have this experience when we use Google or Yahoo to look for something? Normally, if we type in something there and we press the search button, all in a sudden in the page, we have at least more than one page of result, right? So in each page, the numerous items. So how do we select out of these numerous items? How do we know which one of these are irrelevant and which one are relevant? Do we have to spend time reading them all? Yes, this is the most brute force method. But how can we narrow the search in such a way, just as Topsy said? Use a method to search through Google or Yahoo in such a way when we were presented with a number of results, we know 80% of the time we could just read on the first 5 instead of reading the rest of it. How can we do a little bit more in our searching? Do you remember what you do when you search? It's a very important experience or method we need to learn, right? So, do you remember when you learn something, when you search something, okay? If you search for a name, well, sometimes the computer might need your specification. Do you need identical uppercase and lowercase letter? Or do you need just the letter, no matter it is uppercase or lowercase? That will make a difference. Do you remember that? So sometimes if you want to search identical copy of that, which is different from a loose definitions of that, right? So as Topsy said, we need to learn some method. Okay? So what do you think, Antonio and your table partner? What do you think? Do you have any experience to share? We want to try to give it the best sort based on your personal experience. It's okay, you can pass on the microphone, we still have tables around. Yes? What do you think of information literacy? Hi. Thank you, Ji.
Just like they said, we are in an information age. We need to face a lot of data, and we need to select some of them are useful.
Right.
Without the race or just another law. Yeah. So this is the skill is very important to us that will be useful in something that we, just for example, we have to do some projects.
Right.
And we need to find out some data and information to help us to do it. Even we get into jobs and do a business, we also need to marketing, accounting, some information to take the research to do also. Yeah.
Yes, I think you're trying to move us into a positive direction, just like you identify a need of information, right? So you try to look for information based on your need, okay? And in the process of looking for your information based on your need, you might have more than what you expect to come out. So you need to do a sorting process. And that's exactly what the video said. It's called the evaluation. And of course, when we do the evaluation, we want to minimize the overhead. That means the extra time we spend sorting things out. The sooner we can find that information that is appropriate, the better. But how can we minimize the overhead? And that is a matter of skills and experience, right? And that's why eventually we believe that we did find that information, so we use them, okay? But fortunately, as the video have taught us, before we use it, we need to know how to credit the source of the information. Otherwise, we will be stealing the information without giving credit to the source. And that is highly discouraged, just like privacy of a movie film. Maybe that's a good movie, that is exactly what we want, but without giving credit to the producer of the film and use it under a legal situation, that will be against the ethical standard. So I guess that's what the picture have given us in terms of, do we know these process of information literacy when we try to deal with information in this information age? And sometimes the biggest obstacle, as maybe Thomas could offer us some idea, is information overload. Thomas, can you say something?
After the discussion in our table, we define that information literacy is the ability to articulate a problem, to be investigated, to
Right.
be located and assemble information and
Yes.
apply information toward a solution
Right.
and contemplate the effectiveness of the entire process. And the question is why the information literacy is important to our life. The reason is information literacy is important and it is necessary for us to have strong information background. Because if you don't have information, you will not be able to act or respond to the situation.
Right.
For example, in education, when students want to work on a project or do the research or answer some questions, it's important, it's very, very important and required to have the strong information on related issues. And also, like in business, when you want to do a business, you must have strong information about the markets, about the customers. So overall, we can say that information literacy is necessary for our life.
Okay.
However, we also need to consider, like the video says, that the information ethics.
Ethics. Yes.
Ethics.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
And we can use the information, but not straight to the information that put by other people. But we also must need to consider and respect the information, other people's work.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that's all. Maybe my friend Peter.
Yes. Thank you, Peter. Thank you, Thomas. I think you brought a
I
lot
think
of
I will have a little bit
Yeah.
talk about the skills
Skills,
of how
yes.
to select the information what you need. For example, if you're doing a project about is that good or you having Chips Ahoy for 3 meals a day.
Okay.
If you type Chips Ahoy on the Google, you may get, I don't know, maybe 15 minutes result on Google. However, if you really want to understand Chips Ahoy, you should be type some kinds of risks to record the keyword. Also, this
Yes.
specific.
The specific, yeah.
Yes. For example, Chips Ahoy plus ingredients or Chips Ahoy plus Carolines. That will make you more understand what about Chips Ahoy will be. However, with this kind of skills, you will be able to select what you want, the information that what you want,
Right.
instead of what the Google think you want.
Yeah, it's
I
very
think the
good.
skills is
Yeah. You need to instruct the Google machine to get what we want, right? Instead of just let the Google machine give us a bunch of things that we have to sort this out again, right?
Yes.
So I think it's very interesting, yeah. Could you pass the microphone to the table next to you, please? Hello?
Yes, the classmate told us the skill
Okay.
about how to search the information, and I also want to talk about the skill. Yes, for example, first you want to know what information do you want to know. For example, he told us that you want to know about this cookies, some information about it.
Right.
But a lot of information about it. What do you want to? What kind of information do you want to know?
Okay.
First, it is important. You need to think. Second, what will you? What ways will you choose to
Yes.
solve this problem? We can use internet searching engineer
Okay.
to find the yes to find the answer, or you can go to a library to search a book, to find a book, to
Right.
find the answer.
Yes.
Yes, it is the second skill. But when you find the information about it, you must think, is this information is true or false?
Right. You have to evaluate.
Yes, false. When you get the information, you need to know how to use or how to create a new knowledge about it.
Okay.
Why do you get this information? What do you need to do?
Yes, put it into context.
Yes, and it also related about ethics.
Ethics.
Ethics. Yes.
The rights or wrongs of using information.
So IL is also means information skill.
Okay. Yes. Thank you very much. Anyone from your table who want to say more? Okay. So let's pass to the last table here.
We think that information literacy.
Hello, Michael. Look at you. Sorry. Yes.
We think that information literacy is an ability about you to get information, and it is very useful and necessary.
All right.
It can make you to understand information.
Okay.
And nowadays there are many information,
Okay.
and we should to improve information literacy. It helps us to choose what information we should get.
Okay. So anything more to add from your partner? Do you want to say something? Yes. You can just say it. Get the matter there.
I think that's when we want to find something on the internet, we just type a term on the engineer, and then there were many different pages will explain in different ways, and we can choose what we want. But sometimes there's still something information is not real.
Okay.
So we need to choose what is right and what is wrong by ourselves.
Okay, I thank you very much for your comments. Now let's get back to our course of discussions. My question at the very beginning, after I invite you to watch the 5 minutes video, is to think about what is meant by information literacy based on your perception or your understanding of what the video tells you. Now, may I just try to put this into the context of your weekly activity. So every week we have a theme for us to study. That's a topic for us to study. And every week in this class, you have a reading list, right? So in the reading list, you have some key questions. Sometimes 2 questions, sometimes 3 questions, sometimes 4 questions. But there is something interesting. Underneath each question, you have a number of items or information item which is related to that question, right? So, well, as a teacher, remember, I invite you to do some journals on your selected question. And for each question, you at least select 1 information item underneath them, okay, out of many. So the question is very simple. How do you select 1 item? Well, basically, the natural reaction is, well, we scan them through, right? We walk into each item, take a look at each item, and to see if it interests me. If that item, when I look into it, it interests me, I will pick it. Now, this is based on interest. The amount of time you spend into exploring that item before you decide to pick it, only you know, unless you keep a record, you know how much time you just use to view that item. Now the interesting thing is, in the real world of work, normally when we start to have questions, that is a very important piece of information for us to keep in mind. Because whatever information we try to look into, we're actually looking for more related, specific, which can help us to understand the question more, or better say, understand how to answer the question more. So that is some criteria. Normally, this is a standard, or the rules based on which we operate in looking for information. Now, in the context of information literacy, IL here, they use the term need, N-E-E-D, to represent it, all right? And they use the term access to represent, you got information here, you need to access to look it over. And then they use the term evaluate to represent the process of your previewing each item before you select your item of interest. That is called use. And remember, when you write a journal, normally, if you look at my guideline, I invite you to tell me which week number 1, okay, which question, what is information technology, and which item under that question, and you copy and paste the link over there. And so that everybody, when they look at your information discovery, the observations, the interpretations, and the application, they know you are looking into that specific question through that specific item, right? So what does it mean? It means you're actually practicing information literacy before you are formally educated on the process. Today we are formally introducing you to the proper process of information literacy when in fact you have been doing it, you have been for 3 weeks already. And what is the problem here? Now, you know that you have to turn in your homework by the end of this week. So you have from the 8th of this month to start turning in your artifact up to the 10th, just for the 3 days. Normally you will see that. And tomorrow I'm going to set up a submission link. Well, you have an urgent need to get something done now. You have to submit your homework, which is a piece of information product, okay? And then you have to go back to look at your information and go through it. And I must write at least 1 week's journal. And I must render 1 topic, 1 question to discuss with my learning partner. And my learning partner is going to do the same for me. And so at the end, I can have enough information to submit as my item number 2, and based on the discussion video of my topic and my partner's topic, we can come up with a report. Okay? 2 persons per pair means 2 topics per for that report. And then at the end, after you finish the report, you have to write down your blog based on your selected topic, based on the information in your report, based on the information in your journal, based on the information in your discussion detail. Now all these are informations based on your selected topic. Okay? And then in the end, you might be interested in doing a little bit more, so you propose a topic. So that is something, it's an information overloading process. You have to do it 1 day before you submit claims. So you have 4 weeks time to get used to it, and towards the very last week now, you have an urgent need to get it done because you need to submit it. Okay? So information overload comes, and how are you going to apply the information literacy process that we introduced to you today to finishing this homework? Okay? Because you need to follow the rules. When you look at the assessment criteria here, okay, you have to get the rules done. Otherwise, you might get 1 point instead of 4 points. If you look at the rules over there, the assignment will give you only a grade between 1 point, which is beginning, 2 point, which is developing, 3 point, which is accomplished, and 4 point, which is exemplary. Okay? So no one will get 0 unless you did not submit anything. Alright? So for each one of these, when you look at the assessment criteria, they are very much related to what you have studied today. Why is it important? Because it's important to get across to you information literacy. It's a lifelong learning skill. Okay? No one should miss it. It's very important in your life, during your study now in college year, and so we must give you enough chances to experience learning from it. It's applicable to any subject you're going to study. Okay? So let me stop right here and let me pass the time to the two students who are going to share with us today. Who are they? They are Antonio and then Mandy. So should we give the chance to the lady first? Mandy, are you here? Okay, Mandy, I can pass you the microphone now. So you can stand up here. Help us to understand your topic.
Hello everyone, I am Maggie.
Thank you, Mandy.
Today I want to talk about is digital divide.
Divide. Yes.
Do you know what this term means? It's just like I get imagined is me and Ivy are standing here, but we have a large river between us. Does mean we can touch each other or something like that? Do you get it means? Does mean we're different, we have to touch each other, something like that. Okay. But this river, I imagine this is our technology or data. It's not really exact. What this caused is because based on Professor Yan gave me that at the core is caused by incomes, education, race, or gender. I think it's a little bit or not related with the last lesson which Professor showed me the video. That's what is called individual power from the tutor video. You imagine tutor. Okay. Yes. So this made me think. How can I help this? I call them poor. It's because they cannot afford this. That computer or network. You know the network or in network computer. Very lots of resources. I get computer in my life at I'm 10. My mom bought me a computer at home so I can get it easily. But can you imagine some of these some of these people in the world cannot ever see it or touch it. It's really a shame, a waste of it. Because we enter the 23rd century, a lot of us can base on this internet to connect each other. A lot of companies or economic or friendship will also build on it. So it's make me feel, can I do something for them? I'm so feel grateful for them.
Thank you very much, Mandy. We'll try to help us understand more about the digital divide. Thank you. Could you pass the microphone to Antonio? Yes, thank you. Oh, sure, go ahead and use the computer. You want to use the PowerPoint or whatever? Yes. Okay. You can just use it. Yeah. I highly encourage you to sign up to do sharing in class. This is an opportunity for you to keep everybody in touch with what you have been learning.
In this I will give two questions of one information age after the first video we watched in last lesson, I got an interesting one just for me, interesting. And set equipment and logic, training, overall is light and information. For example, one new function in our mobile phone is called NFC. You can see the name is here.
Yes,
May someone in this classroom know what the NFC is, but I don't. So my first question is, in front of the information age, is we get the new information or the new information eliminate us.
Eliminate
us. And in the second video, we saw some organization try to know I don't know how to say it, sorry.
Digital divide.
Yeah. But and one of the element is difficult and content of information
obtain.
Sorry, maybe I'll just say what my thinking.
Yes, sure.
I think that equipment is not really important.
Okay.
Not maybe it's a first step, but the second step and more important is what we can get in the internet.
Okay.
I think it's more important is the freedom in the internet and the information. Such as in China, we can't use the Facebook. Maybe we don't. They don't know what is the Facebook. They don't know what is the something like that, because the government block the information.
Okay.
But in this time, when you have the computer and network, however, you only know what they want you to know. The information you can't use. You can't learn more. You don't know anything. This is my point.
Okay. I think that the word freedom of information is very important. That means no one should be deprived of the freedom to get access to some information which should be everybody's privilege to know. And yes, unfortunately, in today's world, because of the gray war of our mother countries, a lot of the informations could not be entering into China. And we know that inside China we cannot use Facebook. A lot of time we can't watch YouTube videos. And the reason is very simple, because the government decided that certain information is not appropriate for the people. But when in fact, each one of us should have the freedom to get access to information, right? So in the information age, when we talk about information literacy, we talk about in Chinese 修养. That means each one of us is nurtured enough to distinguish what information is good and what information is not so good. So when we know what information is good or not so good, we should have the ability not to spread the word, not to spread the bad news, okay, the not important things or something that is going to hurt someone. Instead, the government was going to decide what is good and what is not good, and do not allow us to get access to those information. We are fortunate, we live in Macau, okay? We still enjoy the freedom of informations, okay? Freedom of the press in a sense, freedom of speech, right? So we enjoy those papers. Thank you very much. I think you bring out very good points. Yes, that's our excellent contribution because you make us think with your expression. That's exactly very important. All of us are learning through the process. Could I have my microphone? Right there, okay? So may I invite you, because we're now down to the last 30 minutes. Let me see if I can give you something very interesting. If we come to this heading, I do not come here often because normally I assume you can watch it at home. Those at the very beginning of each week is very important. Actually, before you come to visit things like this, you should have to finish reading all of these, including a piece of music. Now, today I'm going to guide you into something called PIL. We just talked about information literacy. But when we add the keyword project in front of these, that means we have a piece of homework to do. Okay, and that piece of homework is related to information literacy. Let us see what I can say. All right. So the first thing is normally when we do not know something, we will go to the Wikipedia. Okay, let's listen to what the students say about the Wikipedia.
It sounds so bad for the first place to go for information is Wikipedia.
But I've had professors say you may not go to Wikipedia.
But I do anyways. Non-cited, of course.
Me too. I don't care if it's peer-reviewed or not. I just want to figure something out that I know nothing about. I mean, nothing.
Didn't look what? I gotta know what it is before I can go ask someone else about it, or to find out about it. Just makes sense.
Wikipedia is awesome. It's got good English, no fluff, it's written like I can understand it. Gives me links to other stuff too. Gets into the real stuff I need.
Sometimes when I get to the serious research, I think back and say, I thought Wikipedia said this though, but this source is disclaiming it here. That's when it gets interesting for me.
Yep, not that Wikipedia gives any real surefire evidence. Just makes me feel more comfortable, confident, ready to go on. Wikipedia is my first go-to place, but certainly not my last.
Okay? What I'm going to tell you is, whenever, as a student today, when you do not know something, Wikipedia is a very handy tool for you to look something up. Have you ever used Wikipedia before? Okay? Have you ever received a warning from your professors that you should never use Wikipedia? For what reason? What? It could be changed for anyone, by anyone. Okay, so can you share with us some of your experience? Why your professors have not used Wikipedia?
Because they don't want us to just copy and paste, and they want us to think more about your own idea.
Okay, that's very good. Because Wikipedia is a very convenient source for us to do copy and paste without giving credit to the source. Okay, have you ever done something like this? Oh, you want me something? Okay, let me just go to Wikipedia, copy and paste. Here is the answer. Now that's why a lot of the professors don't like students using Wikipedia. But I believe Wikipedia is an excellent source of information. You always go there to look up something that is good. What you need to know is some ethical standard. Okay? Whenever you go to Wikipedia and do copy and paste, as long as you credit the source properly, there's no big problem. Because normally, this is the piece of information you discover. The next thing you need to do after you credit the source is to tell the professor what your interpretation is. Right? That's why it's an observation. You can always take something from somewhere. This is what I discovered from here. Now, this is my interpretations of that. I can tell you what I've learned from that. But that was a different thing. Then it's a very good way to do Wikipedia searching. So what you learn today in the IF process is you need to learn, you have a need, you need to learn you can access it, you need to learn you need to evaluate them, you need to learn you need to use them, and then you need to learn the ethics. That means credit the source. If you do not credit the source, no professor will like it. Student just copy and paste for homework. You're not learning anything. Okay? Now, nowadays, I would say many students understand the importance of going to Wikipedia to look up information. Now, in the past, when Wikipedia was just getting started, that what you said is absolutely right. It's easily changed by someone. I do not know if it is right or wrong. But do you know that if you are given the right to write in the Wikipedia, your true identity must be used. And whatever you write there will be kept as a record. And people will never discover that you wrote something that is not correct there. They know who you are, and they will give you warning behind. Don't ever produce information that is not recognized before. That is why Wikipedia could only accept information that has already been published somewhere else. Whatever you write, you must provide a source of your information. So on every page of the Wikipedia, at the bottom of that page, you must see about the references. Okay? You cannot go to Wikipedia as a credit offer to publish anything that has never been published before. Wikipedia will not accept that today. Okay? So that is a rule. Because of that, it's well recognized academically. Okay, very good. Now let's go to the second video. Aha! That's the video called Procrastinations.
Do I procrastinate? Sure I do. Sometimes I just get too overloaded with too much information coming at me. Learn this, write this, turn this in.
I don't need to wait until the last minute, but I work 2 different jobs and have so little time.
I know I can always find something online, even at the last minute.
I can't always be studying. I mean, college is about having some fun, even if it's only a little bit.
At 2 a.m. the night before it's due, when I've got all the stuff I need and I start writing like crazy, it just comes to me. That's when I'm creative.
Maybe I'll see something on the bus, a billboard, a newspaper, a book someone is reading, and it gives me an idea for my paper.
With all the work from other classes, I just prioritize what to do from week to week and go from there.
I wait for the professor to say something. Give me some more guidance about what they expect.
Sometimes I delay working on school stuff because, well, I'm just feeling lazy. Just too tired to do much of anything.
So the lessons learned from this project information literacy video is the keyword procrastinations. How will you understand the meaning of procrastinations? Procrastinate means you always delay not doing something. Okay? You're supposed to do it in one day, so you delay not doing it. Okay, until the very last minute. So normally, if we give you 10 days to do your homework, you will not do the homework for the first 9 days until the very last day. Oh, for reasons just like what they say, I have other things to do. I have two jobs to do, and I'm very busy. I love to do entertainment first, and homework, let's put it to the last minute. And in the very last minute, I can always submit something by writing 6 hours before the submissions today. So in the one night before, I can type in a lot of things, and I just keep writing. Everything will be fine. Okay? Now, this is a typical syndrome of students, particularly those who are busy and working part-time. But you see, the reasons why they produce a video telling you this is they want you not to fall into the trap of your own inability to manage information. Okay? If you want to have something of quality, which is based on your ability to do good information literacy, the first thing you need to do with is ask yourself, do I have the tendency to procrastinate? Okay? Every student and every working adult need to face this very important self-awareness question. Am I that type of person who know the importance of something, but for some reasons I cannot do it until the very last minute? And then I never want to say I procrastinate. I always give myself justifying reasons of not to do something. And then at the very end, students will often come to me, sir, can you give us 1 or 2 days? So normally you see that when I say March the 8th is the due date, I give you actually 3 days. March the 10th is the final day. Okay? So you don't need to ask this question. The extension is already there in my learning contract. Okay? Last semester, it's 5 days, but this semester, I think 3 days is good. Okay? Because I believe we need to have something test out, all right? So let's see if I still got some student come to me. So give us 2 more days. But remember, 2 more days when it is given, it is overlapping with your next learning contract, true. And you have to kick off the next learning contract by using the experience of the first learning contract. So what can we do with procrastinations? Well, this is a self-awareness question. If you cannot manage it well, this is what you're going to face. Frustrations. That's it.
What's frustrating about conducting research is when I type in keywords and I get a whole bunch of results, which sounds good, but so much of what's there is insanely irrelevant.
Just getting started on a research assignment is the most difficult part of the research process for me.
It's not knowing the right words to use when I search. Let's see, I'll call my topic this, so now, what does someone else call it who may have published something about it?
I always have trouble narrowing down a topic for the assignment.
Finding statistics is hard. You're looking for some specific statistics, and you have to go through a million articles, and then you may never find something you can use.
A lot of the time, it's a case of information overload. The more I know, the less I realize that I know. It can be kind of depressing.
I never can find that perfect source, the one I know I really want, so I eventually settle. I say this isn't perfect, it's not what I really wanted to write about, but it will work, so I'll go with it.
What's frustrating is when I look on the library shelf and I find some stuff, but it turns out to be 10 or 20 years old. Gee, that's hardly what we called up to date. I can't use this stuff.
It's not so much doing the research part of the assignment that's difficult, it's actually writing the paper.
What's the research process supposed to be about anyway? Is there some right way I'm supposed to do it? I mean, I always feel like I've got to create some new system each time.
The frustrations, the limitations, they remind me we're still living in the early days of the internet. There's information out there that should be readily accessible that we assume is, and it is not though. That's just the way it is.
So here we go. What you're supposed to realize when you try to procrastinate in your assignment, and when the assignment requires you to look up resources, relevant resources, you will most be frustrated because of the remaining time you have to discover something more. And so we want to be away from frustrations. Sometimes we need to stop early. Okay, later on we'll discover in my course website there is something called time management skills. How you use 20% of the time to do 80% of your work. Or you waste 90% of the time and 10% of the time to do 100% of the work. So the seven effective skills for highly influenced people, something like this, Stephen Covey. But this is a very good reminder. Now, the reasons why I invite you to do journal every week is to give you enough time for you to discover and enough time for you to do evaluations of relevant resources. So you do not do things at the very last minute just because you need to submit something. So when you look at the assignment items, I say, out of the 4 weeks journal, give me one only. Okay, you do not need to submit all, it makes no sense. But if you can give me one journal, when the fact of the matter is you did do 4 weeks journal, you have plenty of time to select the best one. And for those who have not been good enough, it's also good because instead of doing 4 journals for 4 weeks, I know that I just need to do 1 journal for 1 week. It's still time for me to rush. Because the next time when you have that experience, never do it again. But you may not got enough time to check on the criteria, whether or not you got 4 or 3 or 2 or 1. Maybe when the result comes back, you got 1 and the other guy got 3 or 4 because of the quality of the work. So frustration comes not just getting something done, but reading the result of the work you did, which is given assessment by your peers or by your teachers. So if you have enough time, you can read the assessment criteria and check the work, and you know how many points you should be able to get. So that is a very important thing. Now I'm going to stop here today. So when you go home, if you want to watch the other 2 episodes called Strategies, you want some strategies developed within yourself as a student. To get good grade, what should I do first? Never procrastinate. Avoid frustrations, give enough time to watch it through. And then finally, find the context of the work. Why I am doing this every week? Why should I keep doing my reading, selecting items? This is the step to help you establish your information literacy skill. So you get used to doing it in this course or in any other course, okay? So I think that's it for today. I've already taken attendance already. I hope you catch the chance to do sharing next time, because those of you who did share, mark it on your personal notebook or online journal that you did this on which day. One of the items which I'm going to invite you to share with me at the end of the submissions of the first learning contract is how many times have you shared in class from the beginning of the semester to, say, the end of the first learning contract. You might not see bonus point. At the end of the semester, I will ask you again. And the least will give you, remember, 20% of the final 100% points. So don't forget to get prepared and share. Okay? I look forward to seeing you again on Friday. And thank you very much for coming today. Yeah, finish the fruit, all right. So that's it for today's class, CISG113, Section 1, Information Security and Privacy, on day number 6, March the 4th, 2014.